Right, the last piece of the puzzle that I want to talk to you when it comes to service discovery is kube proxy. So early in this course, when we learn about the Kubernetes architecture, you saw that each node has these three components: the kubelet, container runtime, and kube proxy. So let's focus on kube proxy because this fits in with this section. So the kube proxy is a network proxy that runs on each node, implementing part of the service. So we've been learning about services, you've learned about cluster IP, load balancer, node port, so on and so forth. So basically, kube proxy is part of the Kubernetes service. It maintains rules to allow communication to pods from inside and outside of the cluster. Also, early in this course, you've learned about watch loops and controllers. So the kube proxy also implements a controller that watches for the API server for new services and endpoints. So you've learned about services and endpoints and how they tie together. Now, when there is a new service and endpoint, the kube proxy creates a local IPVS rule or rules that tells the node to intercept the traffic destined to the cluster IP, to the service cluster IP. Now, this is important, right? So the name kube proxy. So here it creates a local IPVS rule or rules that tell the node to intercept the traffic destined to the service cluster IP. Now, you might be wondering, what is IPVS? So IPVS stands for IP Virtual Server, and this is built on top of the net filter and implements a transport layer load balancing as part of the Linux kernel. And basically what it gives us is the ability of load balancing to real servers, as you've seen when we use services where we have a bunch of pods which are behind the service, whether it's a node port or load balancer or cluster IP. And when the traffic is received, then the service load balances between healthy pods. And this is possible because of IPVS. Now I'm going to leave a link on this where you can go and learn more about this, because this is more on the network side of things. But under the description of this video, you can find a link to a page that teaches you more about IPVS. Then what it does, it redirects traffic to pods that match the service label selector. And to be honest, this is the main role of kube proxy. Let me go back to my cluster and show you kube proxy so you have an idea exactly how it works. So in here, inside of my cluster, let me go ahead and type kubectl get and then pods -n for namespace, kube and then dash and then system. So in here, we'll get all the pods in the kube system namespace. And in here, you've seen a couple of these pods. So you've learned about core DNS, you've learned about etcd. So this is the cluster store. And right here, you've seen the API server before, the kube controller manager. You've learned about controllers as well. But here, have a look. We have kube proxy right here. So we have kube proxy. So this is where everything is actually happening, right? So this is where it's actually intercepting all the requests and then making sure that when a request to the cluster IP, so kubectl get svc, for example, right? So if we send a request to, for example, a customer, and you've seen the core DNS, how do we resolve the DNS name to the cluster IP? So this is actually intercepted and then is sent to the healthy pods behind the service using endpoints, as you've seen in this course. So this is kube proxy. Now in here, let me just get the logs. So if you want to get the logs, so here, let's just grab this pod right here and let me clear the screen, kube ctl and then logs, and then paste the pod name -n for namespace. So if I run this like this, not found, but if I say -n and then kube dash and then system, because the pod lives there, you can see that we have some logs. Now here I talked about the net filter, and you can see that this is actually using IP tables, and I'm going to leave a link where you can learn more about IP tables, net filters, so on and so forth. But as I said, this is more on the advanced side of networking side of things, but really important that you know how this works. As I said, you'll find links in the description of this video, and if you have any questions, drop me a message. Otherwise, let's move on.